welcome to another episode of the CEO Pick. I'm Devosh, the CEO of Varlinks, which sponsors this show. Varlinks partners with leadership teams to co-create high-value performance in high complexity and adaptive change at an all-inclusive and affordable monthly subscription. The CEO Pick is a video podcast devoted to sharing the thought leadership of successful mid-market CEOs. Such a leader is our guest today, Arman Eshraghi, the founding CEO of Qrvey. Qrvey simplifies business analytics on Amazon Web Services, or AWS as we call it, and moves analytics beyond just visualizations by offering an all-in-one cloud-native platform for making your data collection, analytics, and automation fully self-service. I invited Arman to the show after reading his LinkedIn article, The 4 Pillars to Become a Winning Company. And I was so impressed by his worldview about the importance of leadership and team in early stage startup, where most entrepreneurs focus only on product market fit. Arman is a truly serial entrepreneur. Qrvey is his 4th company that he founded. But what is more to tell about him that he invited a team that worked with him 20 years ago in another startup to join him in 2016 to kick off Qrvey. And this fact alone set him as a great leader because leadership is all about people. So before the show, we found that we have something in common. Arman immigrated to the United States from Iran, and we both love Maz Jobrani, which is one of the best comedians I know. So hello, Arman, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Dave. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
I'd love to start with your entrepreneurship story, that especially when you moved from Iran to the United States.
Yeah, that's correct. So that was 95. So we won a lottery, essentially. My wife won a lottery, and then the family of 3, including my 2-year-old son, our 2-year-old son. Essentially, we came to the US, and we went through a number of states, actually, from west to east, and at the end we settled in DC area, Northern Virginia.
It's funny because I applied for the lottery many years ago. It didn't work out for me. Only 4 years ago I moved here without lottery. But so I know when we talked last time, and after reading your article, I found that the one thing that I really like about your whole philosophy as team as an enabler for all the rest. So I'd like you to start there and share your philosophy about team and its impact, especially for younger companies.
Sure. So you're right. I mean, when we are talking about any company in general, team matters. But when you are talking about startups and smaller companies, it's really all about team. Without really a great team, nothing will happen. And the fact that a startup starts from nothing and then you create everything from nothing, who's going to make that happen? The team. And a few people start, or the person who's founder starts, and then brings the initial team together, the founding members, I would say, and then you start from there, and it grows like a tree. You branch out, and then it grows. And any company at any size that we see today, believe it or not, it has started with a few people at the beginning. So the team who essentially started, they could build that foundation that then you can build everything on top of that foundation.
And what is the role that you play as a leader in the growth of the team?
My experience is all about software product business. So everything I say will be relevant to that particular type of companies. And in particular, I have done only B2B, so I have no experience with B2C. I have no experience with providing services. And when it comes to really the kind of software product business, when you start, then you have a vision. You have the product in front of you to be built, and then the product will be the core offering and it needs to relate very well to the market that you are serving. And if the market likes it, then markets buy that product, and then your company grows upon that. And then your job is to serve that market and those customers, right? So if you think of that kind of journey in front of you, the first people that you bring to the company, they need to be good at building the product. And as soon as you build the product at the same time, not too far from that point, very quickly you need to also take the pulse from the market if this product is really resonate with the market. And then you bring customers hopefully soon, as soon as possible, so your product can be relevant to real customers using the product in real life, and therefore you can maximize your chance to make sure your product fit the market the best. And so that's really the kind of journey. As a result, the initial team are more product oriented. You move to market kind of marketing side, and then quickly you move to the sales, and then you move to the customer experience and customer success. And as your company matures, that's the kind of team members that you bring to the fold.
Yeah, and I don't think it's very different from what you're supposed to do in bigger companies. It's just this journey when an older company and a large company actually launch a product, it's the same. You build a product, you take it to the market. But what you talked about, this adaptive change, because the people need to really change their focus from building, now taking it to the market. Every time they need to grow to something different that they did previously.
Sure. So a number of things make it extremely different from a mature company. Number one, in a startup, you don't have all of the branding and power and the whatever makes the employees comfortable to join that entity. It's not like they walk in to a big building with tons of facilities, a super established team. They understand the security and financial security is there for them. None of those exist. So they are joining you not because of your vision. They join you because they are bought into this mission that you have. They join you because they believe in you and the founding members that are there. So that's one major difference. The second major difference is, as an established company, you already have figured it out. You already are selling for years. You already know the market. It's almost guaranteed that next quarter will be, not disastrous. It will be the same as this quarter, maybe slightly better or worse, but you have established that baseline. And essentially, things have been figured out with startup, depending on how, I would say, innovative you are, how, I would say, creative you want it to be, how, if it's a new brand product category you are defining, it can be really totally, a green field that you are getting there, and none of your team members, including the founder, may not know exactly, what is going to happen and when and how fast they can grow, or it takes longer or something. There's tons of unpredictability there, and there are tons of that. So that is the other factor that decides what kind of team members you may want to attract to the company, people who can be extremely dynamic. And essentially, that's why, terms like hackers or growth hackers have been coined, because that talks about really the nature of any startup, that you need to hack things while you are taking this journey.
And COVID-19 actually moved a lot of organization into the unpredictability zone, that they are not anymore able to predict what's the next quarter and so on. So they're pretty much like startup in this domain of unpredictability, complexity, uncertainty, right?
Absolutely. And that's the nature of a startup. Honestly, that's what makes any startup and the starting team and the growing team differentiated from the other team. Because if your team cannot really work with each other extremely well, uh, it can be problematic because, again, it's a high pressure environment. It's an ever changing environment. It's not something that you can really tell for sure, next quarter or next year, or what it's exactly going to be, because you are actually building a new thing out of nothing. You are going most likely to a market that did not exist. Most likely you are creating a product that nobody else has done it yet. If that's a product that already exists in the market, then that begs the question: why are you reinventing the wheel? The whole idea is you are doing something that is going to be better or faster or cheaper or all of that, compared to what exists in the market, and that comes with some level of risk and uncertainties.
So, what's your secret sauce to building a great team?
Many things that we as humans do, honestly, we may not really do it in a way that maybe a robot will do. It's not like necessarily, we sit down and analyze everything and then say this is the way we should go and just do it. We have a plan, but most likely, to me, that's something that, when I start building the team, I may not necessarily just put a plan and say that's what I would do at day 3. I will do this at day 135. I will do this. At one point, you just go there and talk to people, and then some of these people are the people that I know from the past. And by the way, that's a great help. For example, with the previous company, when I started, that was the first company in the US. I had nobody that I know from the past that I can bring to the company. So I had to really, I was in a totally new situation. And in this company, I already had some superstars in my mind. I already knew that what are the best people I can really invite to work with me. And I was fortunate that they responded positively and actually joined me in this company. And I could start with a much better team up front when I started. And that makes a huge difference. But then you invite these people when the company gets to the point that can utilize these people. At the same time, sometimes you run into a superstar and you know that that person can help you and that person is available now. And sometimes you have to change the plan to accommodate that person, because those people can make a huge difference in your business. I had a few of these cases in my previous company, and part of my success in the previous company actually is because of those people. And when I saw that person and met that person, and that person explained to me and introduced some of the business concepts that we can implement, I knew that that's something we should do. And even if it was a little bit early for us at that stage, I did not want to lose that person. So I invited that person to the team, and that was a great move. And it turned out to be very fruitful for the business. So, in a way, you are changing slightly the plan, you are maybe accelerating some part of it, because now you see that team member that can really make a huge impact for the business. So these things happen again in a startup world, probably more than other businesses, but everything is based upon that team. Because if you think of any business, in my view, if the business wants to be successful in a startup, as a software product company, there are 4 factors that needs to be there. You have to have a great team. In addition to the team, a great, I would say, go-to-market strategy. Different names you may come up with. Go-to-market strategy, you may say vision, market, um, a strategy. Doesn't matter which name you select. At the end of the day, you need to have really the market that fits your product, and you know how to get there. That's whatever you name it. I would name it go-to-market strategy. And then the third piece is you know how to plan, and you have the experience and expertise how to execute the plan. You have the discipline how to execute the plan. You stick to the plan the best way you can, and you just execute the plan. The power to execution. That's, I would name it. And then the fourth piece is access to capital. If the business doesn't rate very well or excellent in any of these categories, if you are not scoring 7 out of 10 or higher in any of these categories, the chance of success is very minimal, is almost zero. So it's more like and, not or. And out of these four criteria, the one that matters most is the team, because everything else is defined by the team. Let's say if you have a great team, it maximizes the chance to really go and ask for capital and raise money. Or if you have a great team, you can execute the plan and you can plan very well. Or if you have a great team, you have a better chance to understand the market, to really put your strategy in place much better, faster, sooner, and having a better market fit to what you are offering. So all of those in a way is, so out of these four, the one that matters most is the team. And it starts with the team, and team is really impactful in all of that. But at the end of the day, you need all four of these as a company to really succeed.
I was started from a larger company to a startup, and I wish I knew what I knew about startups, lean startup, and all these methodologies that you mentioned when I work for a larger corporation. I would do the same. I think that there's a disparity that large corporation can learn a lot from startups, and maybe that's the reason that most innovation come from startups, right? Not for larger corporations. We talked about accountability before. I want to hear your point of view. And one, you have a team, you need to drive the team. You talk about execution. What do you do when things don't go right? When you have issues.
Having a plan doesn't mean the plan has to work well. It just means you have a plan. So, and to be honest with you, in a startup, you change the plan every quarter, right? So it's not like you stick to the plan. Having said that, some uh, founders are really visionary founders, and changing the plan is different than changing the vision or changing the whole thing, right? So it's, if let me give you an example. If we are going to create, an embedded analytic platform for SaaS providers on AWS, you have set the vision. You know what you are going to do. You know whom you are going to serve. You know your differentiation. So that way, with just a few words, you have defined exactly what you are going to do and whom you are going to serve. Now, the plan to get there may change, but if you are changing the whole idea too often, it's not going to even, you cannot even think of a plan if that is changing. So changing the target versus changing the plan, these are two different things. And many of the founders that I have experienced and worked with and have observed, and some of them I had the pleasure to advise to them, I have seen that sometimes, this kind of changing on where we wanted to be and what we wanted to do too often, and that doesn't do well. So you really keep that target, and then in order to get there, you have a plan, and every quarter you look at the plan and what you have done, and you change it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's very, very natural. And changing the plan as you learn everything with the team and collaborating with the team is not a problem. The problem occurs when the team are not being communicated or they are not collaborating to create this plan. That is the problem, because then there's a disconnection, or they feel like they are not participating enough to create such a plan. So you cannot ask for their kind of collaboration and the effort, right? So those are the things that we really need to be careful. But just having a plan in place, there's no excuse for not having it. Any plan, even if you know you have to change it, but that's a good starting point. And then every quarter you can go to the plan and just modify it. And even to be honest with you, if you wanted to change the whole idea of where we are going, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I mean, look at even big companies like Apple. Apple started as a different mission, that was Apple Computer, and then it became more a kind of different company when Steve Jobs rejoined the company. And now in the third generation of Apple, it's your digital life. So the definition of the company for the different phase of the company can change, and that's a good thing, but they didn't change it every 6 months. It was more a kind of the right timing period they chose, and then they planned accordingly. And I bet for each phase, they, even if they are not a startup, they had to modify and refine their plan in order to get there. Now, if you go to a startup, it's everything faster, quicker, the time period is just more condensed. So we have to do it probably a little bit more often.
Arman, thank you so much for your insightful knowledge and experience and wisdom. I really appreciate that you took the time.
Thank you, Dave. My pleasure.
And thank you for watching the show, and I'm looking forward to see you in the next episode.